Once and future Louisiana State Representative Alan Seabaugh is here. Hey, Mr. Allen, Happy New Year. Welcome back to KEEL. How you doing?
Happy New Year. How are y'all this morning?
So walk us through the process. You were nominated originally. You were nominated, I guess, for a federal judgeship. Before we get into the particulars and bring everybody up to date, how does that nominating process take place?
Back up a little bit. Back up a little bit. First of all, I was never actually nominated. I was selected. Well, it starts. There's not a set rule book. Honestly, in this particular seat, the two Louisiana U.S. senators pick, and they rotate who picks which seat. This was a seat for Alexandria, Louisiana, so Senator Kennedy got to pick, and then Cassidy had veto power. Senator Kennedy did a selection process. He did interviews about a year and a half ago. He sent 3 names to the White House. The 3 of us went to D.C. in January of last year and interviewed, and the White House counsel selected me. Then that's when the background check started. That was like February of last year. That was all concluded in April, and I've been sitting since April of 2018 just waiting for the nomination.
I was going to say, there were a number of delays for a number of reasons along the way. Am I right about that?
Yeah, but not specific to me, but yeah, the Kavanaugh thing shut everything down. They told us about him before he was nominated that they knew Kennedy was going to be resigning. Justice Kennedy from the Supreme Court was going to be resigning, and then the White House gave them 25 names of judges to vet, and that they had to go vet them before before Kennedy even left. So they had them ready to go. So they were so that shut everything down, and then nobody was nominated or nothing happened during the time that whole thing was pending. And then the White House counsel resigned, and a new White House counsel came in, and there's just been one delay after another. And the issue that I had was twofold. One, it was the longer it was delayed, the longer I sat through 2018 and the nomination didn't happen, I had to finally admit that I was kind of happy that it hadn't happened yet, because really like where I am right now. I enjoy my law practice. It would have required us to move from Shreveport, uproot our family, and we weren't really fired up about that. And so the longer the delay went, and I had to acknowledge that I was kind of happy that it hadn't happened yet. Then we finally really started thinking about it again this fall, and it all came to a head around a little before Christmas, when my wife and I sat down and had a heart-to-heart decision. Do we really want to do this? And we had a meeting with White House counsel the week before Christmas, and they couldn't give us a time frame on when it would happen. And the problem is, 2018 wasn't a big deal. But 2019 is, because it's reelection year, and I haven't had a fundraiser in a year because I put everything on hold when I got selected. And if I'm going to run for reelection, I need to know. And if it's if something happens and the nomination doesn't go through, then I'm stuck. I can't qualify, or I'm not ready to run for reelection.
So you've withdrawn your name?
Yes, I sent a letter to the White House, to the president, Thursday of last week, officially taking my name off the list, saying thank you, but no thank you. I'm truly honored to have been selected. I really want to thank Senators Kennedy and Cassidy for the vetting and the faith that they put in me. The White House counsel's office, put faith in me and put my name forward. I really appreciate everything that they've done to this point, and I sent a letter thanking them. And the delays are a problem, but quite frankly, ultimately, the delay is not what prompted this. What prompted it was I just decided, as a family in my life right now, it wasn't the right job for me.
We heard you were going to run for state senate, but you've decided against that, correct?
Yeah, I actually had intended to run. 2007, I ran for state senate in the seat now held by Senator Milkovich. I had plans to run for that. I don't live in that district anymore. I could literally move across the street and run for it. I had planned to do that, but put that on hold, and we didn't do that because of the judgeship. But I had to have moved by August of last year. I didn't move by August of 2018, so I don't live in that district. I live in Senator Peacock's district, and he's doing a fine job. I'm not going to run against him. So the Senate run is out.
You sit down, you and your wife have the discussion, you tell the kids, etc. You go, nope, what's right for me, meaning Alan Seabaugh right now, is to run for re-election but there's a little more to it than that, right?
I see an opportunity. Louisiana, we need a common sense approach to the legislature, and the Speaker of the House currently is term limited, and I saw an opening. In fact, I had a lot of my colleagues said, "Hey, forget being a federal judge. Why don't you come back and run for Speaker?" And you take that as platitudes at first, but then I got more and more phone calls said you'd be the perfect guy to do that. And so at that point, after talking to several of my colleagues, being encouraged to make that push, that's what my focus is going to be. If John Bell gets reelected, we're going to need a conservative counterbalance to lead the House, like we've had for the last 4 years. If a Republican gets elected, who better to help them push through a Republican agenda than me, and try to counter and retract some of the socialist things that we've done the last 3 years under John Bell Edwards. So it's a win-win situation. I'm going to run for reelection. And I am going to throw my hat in the ring for Speaker. In fact, I've already done that.
But you're not talking about running for Speaker against Mr. Barra this spring. You're waiting until after the election. Okay.
Yeah, correct. No, he's term limited after this year, and there'll be an election technically January of 2020 when the new legislature is elected. There'll have to be an election for a new Speaker.
Can we run through some of the things the governor's talked about for this spring?
Sure.
A $1,000 teacher pay raise.
I don't think anybody's opposed to it. I keep reading that Republicans are opposed to it. That's absolutely not true. That's going to pass, and I don't think anybody's opposed to it.
Okay. A minimum wage increase the governor says he's going to push for.
He's pushed it every year since he's been there, and it's not gotten out of committee. I sit on that committee. Actually, Raymond Cruz and Doty Horton from Bossier both sit, and Larry Bagley. The four of us all sit on that committee, and it's not gotten out of committee, and I don't see it. I don't see that changing. That the only way that has a remote chance of even making it to the floor of the House is if they figure a way to get it through a different committee. But the House Labor and Industrial Standards Committee is the one that Industrial Relations Committee is the one that reviews those, and it's not coming out of our committee.
Would you be surprised if the governor put a gas tax increase on the agenda for this spring, being an election year?
Yes and no. What I think is going to happen is I don't think the governor will put it on. There is going to be a push for a gas tax. I suspect, and this is a little political foreshadowing, but I suspect that there's a push for the gas tax and that the governor secretly wants it to pass so he can veto it as an election year issue. That's just a guess, but I've gotten some rumblings that I think that might be the plan. The plan might be push it through, get it to pass, so the governor can veto it and say, look, I vetoed the gas tax. It's one of the least popular taxes out there. The only people that want a gas tax to pass are the people that are going to make money off building the road.
Mr. Allen, time for one more. Do you think the Republican gubernatorial field, do you think it's set? And if it's not, who do you think is looking at jumping into the race?
I've heard a lot of names that are looking at jumping into the race. I don't want to mention any because they've asked me to keep it confidential because they're looking at it. The only one that's looking at it publicly that I know of is a state senator from Slidell named Sharon Hewitt, who I think would have the inside track to be president of the Senate if she came back. She jumps in the race. She's a viable candidate. I've known Eddie Rispone and Ralph Abraham for many, many years. In fact, Eddie Rispone's been one of my biggest supporters since I first ran for office. They're fine guys. They're great guys. There's other people that are looking that would be fine candidates. I'm not ready to endorse anybody, and put it this way. They're all better than John Bell Edwards. So it doesn't matter.
Do you think Jeff Landry is reassessing? Do you hear anything about that, or would you just rather not say?
No, I'll say that he's definitely not reassessing. Jeff Landry's not going to run. I mean, I've talked to him. I literally talk to Jeff Landry every week, and he is not reassessing. He's happy as Attorney General, and he's going to stay there for at least 4 more years. He's doing a great job. If John Bell Edwards gets reelected, we need Jeff Landry as Attorney General because he's done a fantastic job of reining in several. I mean, I think he's undefeated in all the litigation that he's brought against the governor. He hasn't lost yet. Governor keeps overstepping his bounds, and Jeff Landry keeps reining him in, and he's been right every single time. So I'm very happy to have Jeff Landry as Attorney General.